then they backed out to make sure that we were ready. We are indeed ready.
Everyone's
We're giving that one.
disqualified.
Yeah, sorry guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back
Casters
next year
win today.
if we let you. Yeah, casters are moving on in the rail. So,
Oh my gosh. The client's working! Okay.
Hey, would you look at that, and boom, comes down the Scion Band, the Rise as well. Going to be taken out, so they don't want Wazir, giving them headaches with that one. Zach, no big changes there. Ryerson sticking to plan. Waterloo, perhaps making some adaptive bans there. Skarner comes out as well. I like it. No Xayah this time, no Twitch, no Vayne. So some surprising change-ups thus far.
There wasn't really an issue with the Ryerson composition last time they put it around. It was about how they played with it. In the early game, I thought there was just so much more room for pressure on that mid lane. Wazir was doing pretty well, but if you throw a little bit more Jax pressure, you can free him up out of that lane. And even if you don't want to put that pressure there, take Wazir, move him somewhere else, and help him get another tower. And then in the late game, Wazir kept trying to make these really weird flank plays.
Lame.
So instead of making it a 5v5 where, oh, the Jax, the Fiora top lane will find the enemy Tristana, he just kept finding these weird one-on-one situations with Eno, and you're going to lose that every time.
Now, surprisingly enough, it is a Rakan ban coming out. So, not seen in picks or bans yet, and they decided to ban it early as the Lulu will be priority. Tristana, a highly prioritized champion this time, now going over to the side of Ryerson on blue. It has been a blue side first pick every single time, and I don't want to read too much into this, but Tristana has not lost yet in this series.
That is fair. That's very fair representation. But already the Lulu being picked up by Waterloo definitely could point to either Kog'Maw coming out for Eno. He's very, very comfortable playing that champion. Ooh, but the Azir, I mean, Wazir. Finally, we can call him just the Azir. We don't say Azir versus Wazir. Azir is Wazir.
No longer boosted casters, ladies and gentlemen. We've got it easy. We have the
that is
very nicely facilitated. Yeah. Okay. So Xayah coming down has been banned traditionally. That Xayah was a ban on the side of I believe Ryerson was banning that one out consistently. And they chose to go for the Caitlyn in lieu of it. Karma as well taken off the table. So again, they don't want Sherb on something safe. If they ban Orianna here, Sherb is going to be 3 unique mid laners here so far out. I mean, okay, so I guess he could play the Orianna, but they wanted to keep him off that safe one. I bet they're being willing to do that one again. I doubt they'll go with Gangplank over that. Yeah, Orianna taken off the table, leaving Gangplank open. No surprise.
The Xayah? Normally when you want to go with a Xayah over another sort of hype scaling ADC is because you want those earlier spikes. You can hit the quote-unquote team fighting spike at 2 items instead of the 3 items normally because your W gives more attack speed. You can realistically walk into a fight with the Essence Reaver plus Static Shiv or any real combination of those items you want. But the 50% crit plus attack speed, usually you're good to go. That could mean that Waterloo is looking to come more into this team fighting phase. It's definitely a safer pick, especially with a Lulu on the back instead of going with the Tristana where you're just jumping in and jumping out. It's still very, very scary, though, is look at the backline presence. I want to see what this jungle is, but this could be absolutely disgusting.
I wouldn't be surprised just to see the Jax again, right? I mean, it works okay with the composition. Braum will handle a lot of the tanking details in the later game. Vladimir as well, no slouch when it comes to survivability and absorbing a lot of the enemy team's aggression. So that gives Jax a lot of opportunity. Olaf, I really like the Olaf pickup here.
Yes, please. And Olaf,
if anything, go on.
And Olaf has received some buffs, especially towards his late game damage, so he doesn't fall off as much. The Vladimir plus Olaf dive potential plus Tristana as well. This composition is specifically put together to kill Eno. And honestly, with how this game is going and how this series is going, I am not the least bit surprised.
No, and especially how well the bans have gone for the mid lane. Look, they take away Azir. They knock off the Karma again. They take out the Orianna because it's the next logical conclusion, even though we haven't seen Sherb play it. He's on Victor now, and that's fine, I suppose. I mean, Victor, it's not bad.
It's a very defensive pick.
Yeah, so it's, again, a lot of eggs in the Eno basket, and that did not work well for them when they had Karma. It was the same kind of idea. Victor now will be able to spit out a little bit more damage, a little bit more zoning presence, and so that's going to be going nicely for them. But again, we were kind of hoping to see them get away from the it's all on Eno strategy, and guess what this composition screams? It's all on Eno.
Yeah, and the bigger thing too is that it's on a much earlier game pick, which means Eno needs to be able to perform in this early game. Otherwise, it's still going to be on Shauner's back. It's still going to be on Sherb's back to carry this one through. Because if you just go to straight late game with even-ish gold, let's say 2k gold lead for Waterloo, Azir, Tristana, Vladimir still win out 9 times out of 10. And like we saw a fairly decently fed Gangplank last game. It didn't really impress us because they never really set up around it. It was all around playing around Eno, and they definitely have the potential. Still want to see where BTM's going to be able to go in this early game. If Shauna could pull out the same success he did last match on that Gangplank, but that is a bit of a rougher matchup into something like the Vladimir that can just keep that poke game coming.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a lot to just maintain the intervals of poke, keep the damage, poke, keep the damage, poke, keep the damage. And I think it's going to be putting Shauner onto a lot more of the back foot. That said, I would have guessed the same thing with the Fiora pick early on, right? I would have guessed that Pax would just be right up in Shauner's face, causing all sorts of headaches. I know that that's a matchup that can be a little bit more topsy-turvy and so forth, but all in all, just, Pax being an aggressive top lane player on the Vladimir with the Fiora, I don't know what that's telling us for how he's going to play into Shauner. I still expect Shauner to be kind of a rock for his team. Be very surprised if he gets out and away with a double kill to kick off the game again. I'll say that.
Yeah, I really hope that on the side of Ryerson learned their lesson. It definitely it's going to be a little bit harder for mid lane to really get snowballing. It is an Azir, especially on the nerfed Azir versus something like a Victor. Unless you really have hard ganks from Olaf, or unless you're really mispositioned, or just Sejuani doesn't exist this game, there aren't many scenarios where you can get a kill lead in that lane. Obviously, I think just based on these mid laners, Wazir is defaultly going to have the CS differential lead going on forward. But that now leaves with only a CS differential in the mid lane to round that composition out. You need something else to pop off. Either Dead 420 has to hold his own in that lane, or top lane, Pax really needs to get work done, because if you let this Waterloo team get to a nice mid game where they've got around the 3k lead, they just run with it.
For sure. No, they definitely have all the potential in the world there at their back. On the other side, the answer, the Olaf away today, definitely has the tools at his disposal with a Braum, with potentially the Roam coming down from Wazir there to make a lot of chaos on the map, some headaches for Eno there, just to pour everything they got and then some into that early game with Xayah. So I doubt we'll be seeing even as many ganks in the top lane, as much play around the mid lane. You talked just now about the CS differential going over to Wazir. I do want to touch on that just very shortly to say that guy in the Rise versus Wazir matchup, which should never get to an 100 CS deficit at any point, Wazir was able to pull that away just through his natural mid laning ability. So all in all, we'll see how it goes now in a matchup where he should be theoretically quite favored.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Rise definitely is favored in that matchup, especially with the recent changes to his Q damage. But you're right, it should not be 100. It should not be anywhere near 100 at that point in the game. And now if he's going to be able to style on Sherb a bit, if he finds that kill lead, if he finds that tower lead in the mid lane, that just breaks this match open, because they are relying on mid lane on the side of a Waterloo to stay even. And if that is not staying even, I don't care how big that guy is, you can't fight off a fed Azir, a fed Vladimir, and a fed Olaf.
No.
That's just too much beef.
Yeah, no, the Azir definitely the case as well. We saw it toward the end of last game. Fed Azir equals nightmare for the side of whomever he's going up against. The Tristana as well seems to be a winning duo thus far. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Kyle Corvus Crow. This is Steven Return Johnson. We're in game number 3, Waterloo versus Ryerson. And it's only getting all the more intense.
Yeah, also, production quality going up with each game, pulling a solid not 15 frames per second this one, as we are locked on. And nothing too crazy coming out item-wise. It's a little bit shocking to see Dead go with the Doran shield, but I guess it does make sense, all things considered. You do have the Braum. It's not quite the most aggressive lane in the world. And into something like the Xayah plus a Lulu, it's very easy to give over one of those early kills if you go too aggressive. So definitely setting the stage already for a very defensive style bot lane. Dead 420 just wants to hit 3 items.
Patient and measured play is the name of the game here. Both junglers opting to start on their strong side with the hard leash from their bot lanes means they should have a pretty good idea of where they're going and some potential top lane priority if they elect to gank that right around their third level. Talk to me about this Olaf versus Sejuani. Now, we've seen the consistent Sejuani BTM's been running that through the Olaf. How is he going to look to play this matchup and really start capitalizing on the playstyle that he knows BTM has proven these past 2 games before now?
It's all about the mid game, and what that basically means is it's also up to the Ryerson squad to, in this early game, start to track out where BTM is going. You now have 2 games of experience to work with on this guy on the same champion, where you can kind of predict where he's going to be going in certain situations and start to either counter jungle in or gank where you are not expected. And top lane, I mean, yeah, you can cleanse your way out of quite a lot of the Gangplank, but it's going to be incredibly hard to cleanse out of just an Olaf running you down in that top side of the map. And what it does is it just creates pressure in those lanes. It doesn't give those free wins over.
No, very much the case. I'm interested to see, too, that they've just allowed BTM to run on this Sejuani a 3rd time, because if there was a weakest link, it was definitely BTM on Sejuani in the last game. Now, they still managed to win, but this is definitely not one of those cases of ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's a lot of faith that the team is putting onto him that he can have a better showing this time around. And I like to see that coming out from teams. I like to see that degree of faith in their junglers, in their other players. It's just a matter of can he live up to it.
Oh, certainly. BTM certainly didn't quite have the performance of his life, I'd say. Certainly a lot of areas he can be starting to step up in, but I mean, all it takes is a few of those ultimates. You get enough tanky items, you're gonna be tanky enough in fights. That's really all you need it for. And it's this idea of just doing your job on the comp. You don't always need to be the carry, but...
Ooh boy, nice shot early to get Wazir in some trouble, but the dash is just there to keep things moving in the right direction for the mid laner of Waterloo. So all in all, he's just going to back off, keep running down the trades. Early CS, we talked about it. We're starting to see the slight glimpses coming out now for Wazir over Sherb. No surprises there. I want a little bit more out of Eno in this bot lane. He's pushing, but I want shoving.
He does still need to be careful because there is no lot roaming around the bot side, and BTM's still on the top of the map, unable to help. They are going to see him out, which means they will have to reckon up. But Predator, he's going fast.
Yeah. Nah, they're okay. He's not too worried. It was really nicely done by Platoon with the Glitter Lance just to lock up away today. And Eno took the long way out of things, but definitely safer, all things considered. Just try to stay away from the damage of that potential axe and then get really slowed down. So,
yeah,
all in all.
Another thing to note here is that the that away today on the Olaf did opt for the flash instead of something like the Ghost. So it definitely helps a lot more in sticky situations where you need to flash over a wall to grab somebody. But it's not quite as good for those long, just in-lane rundowns. And theoretically, that's what the Predator is for, but imagine just the sheer speed you can get out of that with Predator plus Ghost plus a Righteous Glory. You just do not stop.
Yeah, no, there's that old comic floating around somewhere with Olaf just chasing down all the members of the enemy team, speeding at unheard of speeds. Someone should link it in the chat if they can find it, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Fast.
Yeah, just nothing scarier than a big angry Viking charging down your entire team, especially when you have some immobile champions that aren't going to be able to run away as easily there. So they like it. We'll see how much priority they run around this bot side now. It's an Ocean Drake, and so the bot lane is definitely a point of contention just the way they've drafted lanes. But with the Drake there, you gotta wonder how motivated the rest of the team is going to be to start shutting this one out, because these are some patient teams, as we've seen the last 2 games.
And also, we haven't hit on it yet, but check out this top lane. So far, 10 CS lead up here for Pax in a favored matchup. Most likely be swapping out that Ignite for the teleport to get back to the lane. So, not gonna have the most kill pressure in the world, but here has the ultimate.
Yeah, he wants to push that one out. Really nice to punish the low mana of Sherb, but not going to try to blast that one out just yet. Knows he has the summoners, and so possibly trying to play that one a little bit more carefully, or potentially just understood that BTM was hiding out there somewhere. So all in all, it is defensive play. Not too expected to see anything big happen before 10 minutes with either of these teams, the way the series has been unfolding anyway. So we were just teased with the idea of first blood, but we'll have to hold out just a little longer.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly expect any of these matches to be 20-minute stomps, by any sense of the word, though. The 25 to 30-minute mark doesn't look too bad on the side of Waterloo, as once again, with the combination of both the Zaya 2-item scaling plus Sherb on the Victor, who does have fairly early scaling, especially with those new AP items on top of his completed as well. And look to turn around quite a few of these early game and mid-game team fights. But this is also something we haven't seen out of Sherb yet this series. He's starting to get the roam game on.
Yeah, I like to see that come out from him because he really does need to start actualizing a little bit better, especially he had a Zir in his hands last time, right? And that's such a great roam champion if you can play it to its fullest potential. Just even getting the ward down, though, just right there on that entrance to the bottom side jungle by the dragon and the red buff is great for sure. I really like it, so I'm glad to see him playing a little bit more actively. The CS, not as bad as we thought it might be around the 50 CS mark. He's only a handful down. Now, granted, there is going to be a lot more for Wazir to pick up, just the way that's pushing. But even so, it's opening the doors now for a potential roam, it looks like.
Exactly, and I do have to contest a few things on with last game. It's incredibly hard to roam against a Ryze because he will just clear the lane. On top of that, that was also a Ryze who had the minion dematerializer, so thought he pushed quick before, he pushes faster after, but even continuing along with that thought, Sherb is doing a good job now. He's taking the loss, but he's trading something for it. Whereas last game was finding the win. He was finding the shoving power, but never really converted it into anything. And that's what just let that game go on for far too long. That's what let the Sherb's Azir hit that late game point where he was finally useful again.
Sure.
He's a team that Waterloo should be trying to emphasize on. Falling though, definitely starting to go the way of,
Yeah, very much the case. I like it too. Just we talked about this as something that he needs to be able to build up a sizable advantage to make the moves happen in that mid game, because once it gets to that, it's really no slowing down from the side of Waterloo, or else they risk potentially letting the game slide well into the hands of the late game power composition that we're seeing out of Ryerson. It's Nazir, it is a Tristana. Vladimir certainly no slouch at that point as well. You don't want to let him get past 35 minutes. So, Eno is definitely the champion you look
top
to.
lane. Olaf smells blood in the water.
Yeah, we have BTM roaming on the backside as well here. We'll see if he gets pinched up. The ward is there, and look at that. He's in trouble. Pretty glad he took Flash at this point, because I'm sure he'll need to use it to get out. He says, no, I want to go back in. Nope, does not. Flashes out and dies all the same. First blood to Gangplank yet again. Shauner takes that one, and Pax looking for the dive here. Look at that. So clean.
I was about to say, I feel like I've seen this play before somewhere, but that is a nice addition at the very end there. For the side of Ryerson, that's just good mechanical play there coming out. And certainly a bit of an overstay, as Away today was in fact sitting on a ward for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like Pat's just read that one like a book. Now, Away today, definitely making the mistake, especially to flash out at the end there to give that one up. But Shauner will be happy for the kill all the same.
He hit the ult, but he wanted to go in, then he flashed out.
Wow. Okay, now here we go. A little bit of Sharima Shuffle going down. Sure, exhausted, in some trouble. Ninja Hog is happy to take the tower for as long as it takes and does get out just by the skin of his teeth. And that's a nice kill picked up for Wazir in that mid lane. They're going to be feeling really good about that one, just putting the Azir into a position where he can start to make some moves and free up a little bit of this trouble now that Dead is in this bottom lane.
This is what the side of Ryerson has needed now for 2 games straight. Something in the mid lane. If it's not the jungler, bring the support up here, because now finally that's that extra little piece that pushes him even further in the lane. He's got the kill lead. Now he can look for the roaming plays. He can look for the even more pressure on the mid lane, or just have this massive lead that denies Sherb away from anything useful. But it's still going to rely on how do they actually convert on that gold? How do they convert on that extra kill?
Well, for the side of Ryerson, it looks to be just pushing out these lanes, starting to get a little bit more presence there out of Waterloo. Capitalizing on some vision at this point. A nice call. It's only the Ocean Drake. I say only in air quotations there. At any game that has a potential of going to 50 minutes, an Ocean Drake is absolutely foul to come up against in the later stages of play. So I would not be surprised to see teams putting a little bit of emphasis here pretty soon. I like the ward coverage coming out from Waterloo. I feel like they're more on the ball with this.
He's hovering around that bottom side. He's going to get in here completely unwarded.
Oh boy, now they need to find the CC up on Dead. Look at that, there is the lockup, but it's only on to Ninja Hog. Doesn't matter, the stun Won't happen. It's flashed out, but Dead is not going to be able to get to his tower. He runs the other way trying to dodge. And it does not go how he wanted it to. Away today, going to make himself shown and then make himself scarce. Gets out of that one. We tie back up at 2-2 here. And tower pressure, potentially the next big storyline to follow is the neutral objective game. Just not there, but they've opened the door to Dragon without the AD. Dead will only just now be coming back alive, so...
This is a huge misplay from Away today. He went down to respond to the play and then does nothing at all. And this gives BTM now the first step onto everything else. Because Olaf has to reveal his location if he just wants to soak those waves in the bottom side of the map. And that's what is going to allow BTM to keep making play after play and never allow Away today to find a lead. Because by this point, really wanted to see Away today find something. Find one gank where he forces some summoners, anything at this point, and it's just not coming up just yet. And certainly, he's still got a lot of win conditions left for him. His main goal is still to just make Eno's life as miserable as possible, and that's still fine. Going now into like the 12th minute, the 15th minute, it starts to get towards the end of the game where you're really starting to hit some issues.
Okay, now hang on here. It looks like BTM's back down in the bot lane, just wanting to find it. Nice spot out does mean that he will have no such luck this time around, so resetting here. But it's already causing a little bit of nervous energy coming out of the side of Away today. He's already roaming back towards that side of the map because they didn't see him exit. Good ward patterns from the side of Waterloo make sure that he gets out undetected. Now, skittish play coming out of the side of Ryerson just to make sure they're not in any trouble. And you have to wonder now, what's the next move? Do they play for the Rift Herald, which neither game has seen be a priority? Do they play around a Dragon? Because the wards there just really aren't in either great shape for either team. It looks like they might want to gank onto Shauner. This hasn't been traditionally great for Away today, but he's going to try to set up for it anyway, it looks like.
It's just consistent setup that's never actually paying in actual play, and this gives BTM the knowledge to play through everywhere else on the map, and even in mid lane. Sure, yeah, Wazir still got a decent CS lead, like, even more than decent. Here's a very solid CS lead, but he's still just not able to get anything done. And now, this is completely fine position to be in if you are the Ryerson squad. You want to just, I believe we said it to the bench before, but just like patience and just pray.
Yep.
But you need to have patience, and you need to be able to stop these plays. And here's already the rogue play coming out of Sherb.
Yeah, it's definitely unanswered too by Wazir. He has no idea what's even going on, so when he reveals himself, I wouldn't be surprised to call in Away today and push this mid tower, but they are solidly behind on the first objective rotation here. And look, there's the catch-up. They're trying to make it happen, but with Shauner's ultimate, the cannon barrage says, where do you think you're going? They stop them right up in their tracks. Defending their tower, taking one away. Solid macro coming out from Waterloo.
And this is where Sherb does start coming into his own. You can't really just say a mid laner's bad because they aren't good at CSing. It's all the little things put together that really makes a mid laner great. And sure, I don't think either of these mid laners are quite NALCS material, but they each bring something different to the table, and that's how you win these games. You emphasize your own strong points, and Sherb is perfectly aware he's not going to win this CSing battle. He's understanding that. He's embracing it, but he's still being useful to the team. Big part for me, though, is how much Eno is still carrying out this ball. Sure, they have gotten additional assistance from BTM, but even so, a 40 CS lead is a 40 CS lead no matter how you get it.
Absolutely the case, and Eno's going to feel really good about that one. Platoon, I feel, doing a very solid job supporting his carry this time around, giving him the Lulu. So much more effective than the Janna that he had earlier. Now with an Ocean Drake being started up, the scaling potential is going to be so real from the side of Waterloo University here when they want to start setting up these long sieges that, you know, Xayah can be a real nuisance. And it's a second Ocean Drake on the docket after this one, so definitely going to be contested more so than this first one. 15 minutes, 2-2 on the kills.
Yeah, this is definitely where you start getting a little bit concerned if you are side of Ryerson. Because yeah, you are looking for the scaling game, but the big part of scaling is that you're trading objective for objective. And sure, it doesn't always have to be equal value, but it needs to be something. And this is now two back-to-back objectives, the Dragon and the Tower, that have gone completely unanswered.
We'll see if they can pick an answer here. It's a nice little pick brush coming out with Pax just hiding out there. Shows himself a little early, but Platoon's still going to be in some trouble without the flash. Does find it. to get over in one piece. And so it's a nice surprise brush to get themselves the flash, but really not willing to follow up on it too much harder. Dead now, just trying to push this one out, but Shauna with the split push in the bot lane means that the tower situation feels very solidly in favor for the side of Waterloo right now.
Yeah, without a doubt, and not even just that seriously, but also just with the pressure advantage, but Bluff still on top side. Oh, mid lane!
Ooh, bad news for Wazir. He does find the Shurima Shuffle just to keep him safe, but has to flash out of that one. And Away Today is there on the sidelines now, but it's all too late because Wazir just backing barely. Actually, that's really bad! He stuck around and should have flashed for it! That's gonna kill the Cannon Barrage, will find it. That is insane. He just stuck around. He did not back where he needed to. He gave that one to Shurima on a silver platter. We talked about the supporting mid laner. How great is that to put another kill right back into Shauner's pocket?
Yeah, that is... I mean, we've seen the 2-0 game playing before, but the question is now, do they actually play around it, or does it once again become the Eno show? I don't care how far you are in the lead. If you are unable of using that lead, you might as well not have it in the first place, but that could be a very compromising position. Eno is in.
Yeah, no, look, here comes Away Today as well. They're going to find this one out. He's going to ultimate just for safety as Lulu is there. Unstoppable. Away Today decided to stick onto the Lulu. They don't care that much about Eno right now, but will that come back to bite them? Shauner is here. It's a nice glacial fissure from Braum. It's a flash over the wall from BTM. And Away Today, are you kidding me? Just barely. BTM says, my life is not worth his. And he gets out with the flash. So it's a 1-0 takeaway, but so much burns. And now the tower in a compromising position to the team with the Ocean Dragon.
And that is the one-for-one play, but this is still solidly in their favor for Waterloo. BTM almost went a little bit too aggressive there. I think he definitely should have kept that play at the flash or nothing trade, but does try to follow on through. Fortunately, he's not able to pull anything out there in the end, but also going to force the TP out of Pax, still allowing the rest of the squad to play through. And oh, this is just deja vu.
Eno, do you think you can do it? We're going to try to find out. Pax says, hang on, you know what? I'm not too concerned with taking this fight. You just do what you're going to do, and I'm just going to worry about your minions. Seems to be the case. Now, what's not great, I will say for Eno here, I don't love that they're just wasting so much time in this top lane without trying to really batter down this turret. Because if you look at the other side, it's allowed Dead to just sit in this bot lane. He was 40 to 50 CS down. He was 10 right before he started that back. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more pushed out closer to 20, but the longer he's able to just sit in that bot lane against the gangplank, the better for him. Now, he is going to rotate up to the top lane because the team says, hey, we need a little bit of strength up here. What can you do?
Yeah, that's not going to leave nobody in the bottom side to deal with Gangplank. They have no teleports in mid lane shoving as well, so right now, the side of Waterloo, they're just putting so much pressure on the map, and that's going to mean some objective has to fall over here. They're not going to be able to defend absolutely everything as long as this is still a consistent push out of Waterloo.
This is the best macro play we've seen come out of Waterloo in this series. Now, we didn't see game number 1, but knowing what we know, I imagine it was very similar to the second one. This time around, it's revitalized. Maybe that win gave them some energy. We'll see how they can do with it now, because they do need to start turning these screws. 20 minutes is when you want to break this game open, maybe 25, but letting it go too much longer is a danger. And look at this Sherb in some trouble. Glacial Fissure does not land, or Glacial Prison rather. BTM finds a kill. Both mid laners go down. Junglers take those kills one apiece respectively, and we're left with really all things equal.
The good old-fashioned support mid laner once more strikes again, giving the good guy kill over to BTM, a little bit tankier. But still, right now, there is no status quo that goes in favor for Ryerson. Not a single lane of theirs is generating pressure right now, and Baron's on the board. Dragon's going to be up in 56, and that's the second Ocean break of the game. And the issue is, if you keep doing this for long enough, eventually, Waterloo's going to find that play. They're going to be able to make something happen. And honestly, the call here might just be to give up some towers.
I can see that. I see what you mean. I think the side of Ryerson are going to be happy just trading pound for pound on the kill front right now and staying relatively consistent in that goal. They're 1 to 2K behind at any given time. If they can find the tower, that's obviously going to feel great. I feel like if they can just kneecap the split push of Sean, they're going to feel great about being able to get into this late game. And that's their goal. They just want to get to this late game. They want to get past 35 minutes. They have the kill on the Azir. They need to get some kills on Dead, and now's the right time to start thinking about some of those. Obviously, kills don't just win the game for him, but the CS is not going his way. The tower game is not going his way, so he needs to find something. The later it goes, you know, you did talk about it. It is Waterloo's going to have to find something eventually. But if they can't, Ryerson are going to feel really good about the situation, being the scaling champions that they are.
Already, this is the rotation of Dead 420 towards the bottom portion of the map, and that once again leaves top lane wide open with no TP left to get past. Don't actually know if, you know, has a mini wave up there. Let's check that out right quick. He does not, so we'll not be able to take this tower. It will be a trade for the Dragon.
I like it.
They do get something there.
Yeah, they need that Drake if they're trying to get into the scaling portion of the game. So Ocean Drake on these prolonged sieges is so good. And so they're going to take that one out. And look at that third Ocean Drake on cue. So in 6 short minutes, that will be one team potentially having the ability to go up in the scaling advantage. It's only equalized now the longer they're out of combat. So it is going to feel better now for the side of Ryerson to get that back on the board for themselves, but we'll see how they can actually turn these long sieges, because without Tristano, they're still just trying so desperately to get back into this one. Dead 420 needs to farm a little bit harder, needs to stay where he can get ahead of this Xayah, because Eno is going to be really, really strong right now. Without that, what siege opportunities can they set up? How could they play these really long ones out? It's a nice dragon to have, especially considering it moves us closer to that third Ocean Drake. But I don't see it being an immediate advantage.
Honestly, no, it's more of preparation for that eventual Elder Drake, which, I mean, with the way this series is going, you know is going to be here eventually.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see that one come out. I don't think we're going to see the game crack open just like that. I think the fastest gameplay we saw throughout this entire series has been just that point where it was the side of Waterloo got a nice kill or two in the last game. They found a couple picks, and then they just shoved that right down through in the mid lane to take 2 towers and an inhibitor like they weren't even there. And that really set the game back definitively in their pace. But all things being equal here, that's going to be hard to recreate for them. And we're just seeing this slow series grind out, still maintaining a 2k gold deficit, still just a tower advantage, some CS going over to the favor of Waterloo, mostly in that bot lane. The CS is actually favoring the side of Ryerson elsewhere on the map, negligibly in the top lane, but significantly in the mid.
And in that last play right there where you saw the Olaf running forward, that really points out exactly what is starting to come, which is incorrect, not quite incorrect, but what's wrong with the composition of Ryerson. They have no engage. Their only engage opportunity is either the Shurima Shuffle, a knock-up from Ninja Hong, or a way today slowing someone up where the rest of the team can catch up. But I know this is defensive enough play from Waterloo, and the rotations are just so much on point that there physically really hasn't been a chance for Ryerson to take a fight this game.
Yeah, I think it's been slippery coming out of the side of Waterloo, and even if they did find the fight they wanted, it's gonna be a little tough because you have to do it into a Lulu ultimate, right? You have to do it ideally on Ito, who's so slippery coming out as that Xayah. So that makes Sherb a very logical target, but BTM and Chalner can definitely provide enough support to keep him in the right place. And if you focus too much on Sherb and don't have anything to show for it, Eno's just going to tear you to bits. So it's a good position that Waterloo have found themselves in with just the ability to avoid these fights. I think you touched on it with Ninja Hog. I think the Glacial Fissure, a Flash Braum ultimate, really needs to be the one to kick things off because it can keep enough members of the team busy just to find that first foothold.
Yeah, but even like getting to the point where the flash ulti from Braum is the only thing you can really lively
Hang on.
You know.
That's a little dangerous. Forced to use the ultimate just to stay alive there, and that's going to feel pretty good if you are Ryerson, to know that you can bait that one out with just some good poke. I don't believe Eno's going to be the kind of player to let that happen too many times to them, but if they can keep replicating that, that's bad news.
You know, as you're trying to get the shove on the top side, it's finally they're going to take some towers back.
Nice. It is good to see that Ryerson is not taking all of this lying down. We see Pax holding out the bot lane too, farming his own jungle, and then moving forward just to keep the split push at bay. It's the right way to do it because Chalner needs to be able to create this pressure for his team, and Pax is going to be A-okay to just sit here farm out in a vacuum against this laner. He has a CS advantage even. He's doing A-okay in it. And just waste so much of Shauner's time that when the chaos starts to break out on the other side of the map, it's going to be decently packed towards Ryerson if they can keep getting click out of things.
Yeah, we're going to see how they actually want to transition over, because Waterloo is at this point where they basically have the choice of how they want to play this. They could either start really putting that pressure on now, work on the 2-item spikes coming up for sure, going up for Ino, or do you wait out and hope that your late game with Shauner's enough to catch them out? And right now, with it feeling like Waterloo is very hesitant to actually make any plays aggressively, it feels like they want to go for the scaling, and definitely seems like the riskier of the two propositions.
For sure. They have a little bit of time to play with their composition right now. They can make a couple mistakes here in the early game and bounce back. That's not necessarily the case if they just allow this thing to go down the scale trail. Now, we have Dragon coming up in just a minute here. We'll see how well they want to set up, because no team really has any warps around it. It's a nice top lane push to hold the attention coming out from the side of Waterloo now, just keeping pressure in that top side. But Ryerson should reset, and Dead roaming out there actually tells me that this Dragon's going to be a little bit precarious here.
Everyone does need to be careful, because one dragon could lead, and one bad dragon fight can easily lead to a Baron, which can easily lead at this point to one of those inhibitors falling on over. And this entire series has been on small little trades back and forth, and whenever one big one comes across, it just knocks everyone right on out.
Well, look at this, they are here.
Speaking of knocking stuff out, if there's been one thing that has just been hindering BCM this game, it is the smiting war.
Oh boy, yeah, no, definitely the case. We'll see if a real war breaks out. They want to finally engage, and BTM is going to be hindered by a lot more than Smite. It is Pax trying to get in. It's over the wall. Wazir with a great hit. Made the Sherp, just making sure he goes down, but it is a trade on that mid lane. From mid lane, they do back off. They want to find
on the wrong side.
The way to is low, and Shauner going to be able to find that kill. Double kill for Gangplank, now to 4-0-1. And Dead is on the run here. Not going to be able to get out of this without some serious help. Pax might have to just be the bait his teammate needs. He's going to say, yes, I will sacrifice myself to get you out. And Dead 420, the only surviving member, trying as he might to back. But Ino and Platoon are on the hunt, and they may just find him. This is bad news for Dead. I don't think he's out of this one. He does rocket jump. Where did he? No, he got tagged up on the last little bit of damage. Ino did some damage to him. I'm almost certain of it. Nope. No, hey, there you go. So I'm happy to eat those words. Does go down. And nice play by Dead to just make sure he doesn't at least give the gold over. But still, the best case scenario is that he dies and doesn't give over the gold. Is not great, especially as this Baron is on the table. Now look at this. They didn't even actually go for the ocean drain. Waterloo just want to find this Baron. They know they can take it uncontested. It's not a sneak like we saw last game coming out of Ryerson. It's a clean controlled takeaway. And that should mean the game is firmly in their favor now for the side of the Waterloo Warriors.
And this Baron has to turn into something on the side of Waterloo. They have the scaling. They're already at that items they could possibly want. 3 items completed onto Inouye. They just need to make something happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
There's the one at the end of it, and you think, Inouye, and then it's Ino. And so that's a little misleading. I do it too. I understand. Ocean Drake will be taken out in the way. I don't think this will be contested with the Baron, and it will mean they can move right into the mid and bot lanes pretty freely afterwards, unless they just want a 5-man cannon down this bot side. But something tells me they have other waves to police, and Shauner will go back to the split push in the top lane.
They will be starting to press on down here. Yeah, this is when they need to make a play. Keep your eyes firmly planted onto Ino, because every single match it's been Wazir plus Awakening plus Pack. Everybody on this team diving directly towards.
They want to find it. Glacial Prison doesn't mean Ninja Hog is just dead. There is no chance for coming back from that one. Wazir on the run. The rest of the team was hoping to find something in the wings, but now they're trying to rally around this turret just to keep things safe. It's a nice teleport to hold the minions there. It means the tower goes down. Shauner is in the fight, and it's just naming the rest of the members of Ryerson getting out of the fight. They need to concede this inhibitor or pull the trigger on a push now. They cannot just waste too much time, because the kick potential is too real from the side of Waterloo. They're going to find the inhibitor, and that is a huge advantage, and the earliest one we've seen coming out, 31 minutes on the clock.
That was so much hesitation coming up from the side of Ryerson, especially for Paxton. He threw down the ultimate. He could have tried to go for the full-on kill on the fight, but no communication, no team support, and just no confidence in himself means that the rest of the squad for Waterloo is just gonna walk out for free. And oh, we're starting to get to that point in the game where things are looking so bleak for Ryerson. And sure, this is only game number 3, so even if you go down here, there's always one more, but backs are starting to be pressed against the wall.
Yeah, very much the case, and making a good case for himself, as to why that Xayah was banned in the last 2 games. It's the only he's been able to hold out really well in CS, which is not a place we saw him incredibly strong on in the last game. It's definitely got a very good fight potential with the Lulu platoon as well. I feel like the draft has just gone so well for Waterloo that we were excited about a lot of what we saw out of Ryerson coming out early. We thought, hey, you know what, that's very fun with the Azir, with the Olaf. They're gonna have a lot of potential here. But the inability to engage and just Eno's immaculate play on this Xayah have led to so many advantages now coming out for the side of Waterloo that it's getting very dangerous. One inhibitor's already down in the bot lane, and that's shoving out hard. The top lane, they're just, buying all the time they need, because in just a couple seconds, some members of Ryerson are going to have to go deal with that bot lane.
There's probably about one more week forward, and now has got to be the time for your do or die play. Your Hail Marys.
What are you doing?
Low.
That is not the way you want to play that one. Is that a misclick or what? But the gang click ultimate cannon barrage is going to keep things down there. It's still fate. The mid lane towers, outside of the Nexus towers, are falling very, very quickly. They actually may lose a tower just to minions here. They do. Now the engagement on in the top side. Look at that. Dead goes down. He's in some trouble. Now Pax is trying to get in the middle of it, but Sherv has the damage. The double kill comes down, and Ninja falls as well. This is so bad for Ryerson. BTM will give his own life, but it means they can take away today without too much of a hassle. Shauner on the way out of that one. It just Wazir. He goes outside of his own base to try to find a couple kills, and will find at least one platoon gone down. But how much is that going to do for him? The Nexus towers are in trouble. The inhibitor in the top lane has fallen as well. And so all in all, this is bad news for the side of Ryerson. Still 20 seconds on both of their players. This could be actually the game. They're going to find Wazir, and that absolutely means they put the GGs down. 33 minutes, and they find it coming out. Waterloo goes 2 up in the series now, 2-1. Hanging out over the side of Ryerson and making this an interesting series.
Yeah, now that game was just the game plan for Ryerson completely falling apart. It started off so promising too, with bot lane very slightly losing in favor for Waterloo, but the mid lane advantage, the top lane advantage, it just didn't mean anything. And Jungle Olaf was able to facilitate absolutely nothing rather, and they definitely need to hit the whiteboard again, because this is the last game, and it felt like they just got outplayed at every single point in that match. The only probably positive play they had was on top side, where, I mean, we watched it. It was Pax having a fairly decent dive against the tower, but even that was a 1-for-1 with the first blood going over to the other team.
Very much the case. So now back to the drawing board. Indeed, we saw Xayah banned the first 2 games that were so even down the line. We'll see. I would not be surprised to have that happen in the same capacity coming out now, as they do need to decide, what are the options here. They tried to ban out Sherb, and he ended up on the Victor, had a pretty good game with it. Was 3-3-7 by the end of it, but that supporting mid lane style, even when he was something like 1-3, was just so good throughout that it never felt like a non-factor. It never felt like you boxed this guy out. Put him back on the Karma. Don't ban that again. Let him have it. That's A-okay. I think that's a wasted ban.
I don't think it was so much just giving him the Victor pick. I think it was giving him the Victor pick and not having anything to punish his inability to play up in the lane. Because the Azir, it's gonna scale, yeah, but you want to just abuse that matchup. Pick the Ahri, pick something, or maybe don't pick the Ahri, but pick the idea of the Ahri. Have something that's just gonna be able to dominate him in lane. Use that advantage to push around. You have that advantage. Emphasize it now, because unless they pull out early aggressive pick in the top lane, unless they pull out an early aggressive pick in the mid lane, they just don't have anything to convert on these plays. And the second that Waterloo's able just to rotate around the map and get uncontested objective after uncontested objective, the game's already starting to slip away.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kick it over to a break here shortly. Do have to hit a couple quick plugs before all is said and done. If you want to keep up with what's going on with the CSL, Discord is a great way to do that, a great way to get your school more involved. We have a lot more esports than just League of Legends. Exclamation point Discord in the chat to find all the lovely information there. Want to give a shout out to Twitch there. Thank them for their continued support of all of our collegiate esport endeavors. They are the largest platform in competitive gaming, and their support means so much to us. Couldn't be what we are without their help. Follow them on social media, twitter.com/Twitch, facebook.com/Twitch. Follow us on social media, casters at Lol Return, at Corvus Kovacs on Twitter, at CSLLOL on Twitter as well, and at C Star League, facebook.com/C Star League there. If you can't watch all of our videos live, you can find them on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/user/C Star League. If you want to keep up with the brackets, lastly, it is exclamation point North bracket, South bracket, East bracket, West bracket, etc. I believe Peach Belt is PCB, and I don't know if we have one for Big Ten or not. I will get on that after the break, but we're going to kick it over to break. We're going to give the teams some time to just decide what they're going to do, how they're going to play, and we'll be back with game number 4 before too long. Don't touch that browser.
We bop and pretty hot. I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and pretty zoom. Love is sweet, love is grand, works one. We bop and pretty hot. I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and pretty zoom. I'm in love. I don't care. Azum,